Let's break down Shortland Street, which falls to number 2 after being in number 1 for a month in January and February. However, it falls one spot to number 2, but Shortland Street has still been a hell of a show to watch. There's still a lot going on. I said in January that in order to enjoy Shortland Street, sometimes you have to just accept the fact that these stories move super quick. But sometimes they move even a little. I accepted it in January, but in February it still moved a little too quick for my liking. The downside of these stories moving so quick is that a lot of great characters either aren't around long or their storylines come to a bit of an abrupt ending. Tom being one of those characters in February. They were really finally getting into his dark side. He was messing up badly at work after his wedding from hell. But right when they are adding these layers to the character of Tom, he ends up leaving town, unfortunately. So we lose Tom at when his character is coming in, like being really built up. Another character we lost, even though I talked about it in January because I knew it was coming, was the character of Francesca. Her and Samira's fling continued for a while until it started messing with their working together. You know, sometimes you can't have these affairs where you work, even though on Shortland Street, everybody has affairs where they work at the hospital that is Shortland Street. But they were trying to keep her professional, but unfortunately it caused too many problems for both of them because they didn't want to keep it professional, but had to because their job. It was a mess, and that unfortunately broke up those two. Some other storylines for Shortland Street, and there were a lot of them. The big one being Jack, who is dating Hamish, and Hamish is a dirty cop, kind of responsible for Jack's brother Curtis's death, which I talked about in January, which happened on the short little spin-off during the holiday break. And Esther, who was Curtis's wife, doesn't want to see Hamish. But I feel like this is a really dark story. And Shortland's had a lot of dark stories lately, like that wedding where an abusive boyfriend kills the person he's abusing and then kills her daughter as well. That was a lot. And this is kind of a lot, too, with Jack dating Hamish, who is the dirty cop responsible for his brother's death. A big part of the story was Lewis wanting to work with the police so that he could get off for drug charges against him. But that almost got Lewis killed because he went missing, and Hamish ends up having to save him. And Hamish fakes a beating from the gang that was holding Lewis at gunpoint. So the character of Hamish, kind of the big bad on the soap opera right now. Other stories, there were more. Speaking of Esther, who just lost Curtis, they seem to be teasing her with Marty. It feels a little too soon for me for Esther and Marty to be moving on already when Curtis just died, and Esther's been feeling guilty about it, but it's a little too soon for me. Another story has been Madonna and her best friend, Lovely, who came to town, and they've been focusing a lot on Madonna's daughter and a lot of the other younger characters on the show, which is something they have not done a lot since I've been doing these rankings since the fall. So, of course, Madonna and Viliami are back on track. However, Madonna's having problems with her daughter, who's starting to rebel and kind of being anti-religious, no longer believing in Jesus, which Madonna doesn't take a liking to. But, you know, she's in a rebellious stage. And Lovely, Madonna's supposed best friend, is kind of taking a liking to Madonna's daughter and trying to help her and helping her get ready for a school dance and picking out clothes and makeup and all that, yada, 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 until it comes out that Lovely is the person Madonna's ex-husband had an affair with. So that was the big reveal with the character of Lovely, who is coming onto this show like flirting with TK, even though TK has a significant other. And so, yeah, Lovely's on the show to be a horn dog. She's super horny. But it's been entertaining, and I think her and Madonna's dynamic is interesting right now since we're supposed to be best friends, but now, of course, Madonna kind of hates her after the big reveal that, Madonna's ex-husband cheated on her with her best friend. So it's kind of a lot there. But I've also enjoyed that we're getting to see a lot of the younger characters on Shortland Street. The last story I'll touch upon has been the cyber attack upon Shortland Street. That was another big story. And they even had anthrax sent to Chris. So I don't know who this bad guy is that is kind of trying to bring down the hospital with cyber attacks and anthrax. But Damo's been trying to hide this from Chris, that he's just kind of fixed the problem, when that isn't the case. And now Damo's personal account was just messed with, and some money was taken out of his personal account. So this villain that's after the hospital is getting really personal with Damo now too, as Damo has failed to fix this issue. This has been a lot of storylines I've talked about for Shortland Street, so they have a lot going on, and most of it's entertaining enough. It's dark at times. The character of Tom got dark before he left, and of course, like I talked about, that story with Jack dating the person responsible for his brother's death is pretty dark as well. But overall, the fast-paced, plot-drivenness of Shortland Street was not able to defeat Coronation Street this month. Spoiler alert, Coronation Street is back in number 1, where it has mostly been other than January. But Shortland Street is still very strong, and I still think it's entertaining. We'll see what it can do come March.